In this demo, I'm going to show you how to make an infographic progress bar. So here we have a progress meter, and this progress meter is tied to this cell over here that says survey results. It could say anything. It doesn't have to say survey results, but as I update it, the bar chart automatically updates. I call it a bar chart or a progress meter. That's because it's built from a bar chart in Excel. So what's also cool about this is that it's sort of snapped to the sheet. That means it's really snapped to cell B2, and I'm going to just show you that real quick. So I have my cursor. I'm going to place it under B2. Now watch, if I want to make this smaller, what I can do is I can shrink the column, right? And if I want to make it thinner, I can shrink the row. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do when you use this dynamic. So let's talk about how to make it. So down here below, I've actually already kind of given us a space that we're going to make our bar chart. And over here we have our survey results. We're going to tie it to that. I'm just going to make it 35% here. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to go to this Insert tab. Under these charts, I'm going to select a 2D bar chart. You can see by default, because I had this selected, it knew to make a chart from it. So let's just take a look at this real quick. Now there's a few things that we need to handle before we do anything else. So this is a 35% here. You know, if this goes to 75%, the chart is going to have to change dimensions. So this just went to 0 to 80%. So we don't really want it to do that. We want it to have the same dimensions throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on that bottom axis. I'll click Format Axis. Now it's going to ask me for the bounds. Now here's the thing. You may think that because this says 0 here, it's always going to be a 0. It's not so in Excel, so sometimes Excel will move that minimum bound. So what we need to do here is type a 0 in. And that, you see, change that auto to a reset. That means it will never change, and we're going to type a 1 here because that's the maximum. Once we've done that, we actually want to have this bar take up the whole chart range. So what we can do here with that is I'll click on the bar. I'm going to go to the gap width over here, and I'm going to make it 0% so it takes up the whole range. Okay, so it's just a bar chart, but it's with everything removed that we don't need. So we don't need the title. I'm going to select it and hit delete. We don't need these grid lines. I'll select those. I'll hit delete. We actually don't need this axis once we've already set it to the right dimension, so I'll click that and hit delete. And finally, we don't need this one over here. I'll select that and hit delete. Okay, so we're getting a little closer. This is kind of the basics of it. Now if I click off here, you're going to see that there's a border around here, this gray border. So I don't really like that border. I'm going to click into the chart area, so not the plot area, but the chart area. And I'll go to Format. Under Shape Outline, I'm going to just select No Outline. Okay, so this is a lot closer to where we want it. So one thing you'll notice about this chart up here is that it really doesn't have a buffer between the chart area and the plot area. So here's what I mean by that. In Excel calls this here that I've selected, this inner area, the plot area, it calls this outer perimeter around it, that's the chart area, so a plot sits on top of a chart. We actually want to limit the room between both of them, so let me show you how we're going to do that. And this is a little tricky, so it's just a good idea to kind of follow what I'm doing. So I've clicked this top anchor here. I'm going to drag it above the anchor of the chart area. So I click the one in the plot area. I'll drag it over the chart area like that. So you see that now it's grown to the size of the chart. And now I'm going to take the one over here on the right and just do the same thing. I'll do the one on the left. And it's always a good idea, even when it looks like it's done a good job, just to kind of try to do it again. Okay, so this is what we want. There really is no difference between the plot and the chart area. We're ready to put this within our cell. So our cell is right over here. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. So here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to sort of shrink it a little bit, knowing I'm not going to get it exact. I'll drag this chart over like this and kind of put it on the inside here, like that. Now once I've done that, it's on the inside of this cell. I want to snap it to the sides of the cell. So I could do this very painstakingly and just kind of look and watch and do that, but Excel actually already has a feature available to help me out. So what I'm going to do is go to the Format tab. Over here within the Arrange group, there's this drop down that says Align. I'm going to click Snap to Grid. And once I've done that, I can take my anchor and I can drag it over here, and you see it snaps to the side automatically. Very quickly, actually. And it's a good idea to do it to all the anchors, even if they look like they all fit no matter what. Okay, so once I've done that, this shape is snapped in. And what I can do now is I can kind of pick a background color for here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to select cell A5 through C9. I'll go up to this paint bucket. I'll pick something kind of gray. That kind of seems in right now. And I'm going to click on our measure right here on that bar chart, and I'll select something maybe like this, kind of like that. I'm going to select the background of the chart. I might want to make it a little gray, just so it looks like it's filled in, or perhaps a dark blue like that. We'll make it gray. Okay, so it looks a lot better now. So we also want to have this pop-up here, this in-cell pop-up, this data label here. And so what I need to do is, if I want to see the data label, I can right-click on the series, and I can go and add data labels and select add data label like that. So you see it added this 44. So what I can do with this 44 is, you can see I can resize it, I can kind of move it around, but before I move it around, what I want to do is go back to format, go back to where it says align, and turn off this snap to grid, because that's going to make my life a little painful. So I can also add a shape if I want, if I don't really like how it looks. Excel adds these little leader lines here. I don't particularly like these, so if you see one, just select it and hit delete. You can click on the percentage here. Now let's say I want to change the shape of this and I want to make it a rounded rectangle like the one above. If I click change shape, there's a series of shapes here. I'll pick this rounded rectangle, second one in, like that. And then here from shape styles, I can pick something like this. I'll pick this one over here. And if I want to modify this, I can make it bold, I can make it smaller. I can click it again if I'd like and stretch it out. And you see, we now have the makings of our progress bar. But you see, this one here up top actually has this kind of rounded rectangle finish. So what we want to do is create that same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this Insert tab. I'll select the rounded rectangle again. And I'm going to draw one sort of over it like this. Now, this rounded rectangle needs to be the same color as the background to give this effect. For if I did not have this the same color, let me just show you. It would kind of look like that. So to get the effect, it needs the same background color. So the first thing I want to do is change its shape outline color. So I'll go to the Format tab and select the fourth one down. And then you see this outline is not very significant, so I'm going to actually make it a lot thicker. So maybe I'll make it 4.5 like that. And then what I can do is I can use snap to shape to snap it on top. So with the shape selected, I've gone to format, align drop down, snap to shape. So we're going to do that again. I'm going to snap it to this cell like I'm doing here. Now you may be thinking, oh, I've done that. What about the chart underneath? Well, if I want to see that, what I can do is I can go to this shape fill and I can make that no fill, just like that. So you see, this is how you can create a very neat infographic. And if I wanted to make it smaller, I can do that. And if I wanted to make it bigger, I can go like that. Of course, if I do that, I may need to make the lines thicker around the edges. That's okay. So you see, that's how you would make a progress bar infographic with Excel.